Hi guys, welcome to Android. So today in this video we are going to check out ColtOS. So this is the latest release of the ROM. In fact, this is the final release of the ROM that is based on Android 10. This is an official build, by the way, and I'm running this on a 1+1. So let's dive into the ROM customizations right away, and most of them are located here under Cold Enigma. So first up we have got the status bar customizations, and using the first option you can disable or enable the different icons that you want to be shown in the status bar. So let's say if I don't want the Wi-Fi icon to be shown, then I can just simply toggle it off and it disappears. Moving on, now we have the network speed indicators. So these are disabled by default, and you can customize their location. They can either be shown in the status bar, as you can see right now, or in the quick settings header. There you can see them here. Then you can configure the auto height threshold and how frequently should the network speeds be updated. So by default, the auto height threshold is set to as 0 kbps, but you can increase that to 1 to up to 10 kbps. And then the refresh interval can also be configured from 1 second to up to 10 seconds. Okay. Next up we have got settings for brightness control. So you can just slide across the status bar and change the brightness, and then if you want to show 4G instead of LTE, there is an option for that. Then if you want to show the mobile type icon on top of the signal indicator, there is that option. Then if you want to show the icons for VoLTE or Wi-Fi calls, and then you can even configure the VoLTE icon. There are a bunch of options for that. I can't show those to you right now because I don't have a SIM card in the ROM, but I did test the calls and those work really well. It's just that I don't have the SIM card in the ROM while recording this video. And then in the end, if you want to show a kill app back button while for example, if I long press on the notifications right now, there you can see the close app button. So if you want to have that kill app button, there's an option for that. Next up we have got settings for the carrier label. So you can configure where you want the carrier label to be shown. That is the name of the network. So if you want that to be shown on the lock screen, status bar, or both of them, there's that option. Or you can entirely disable the carrier label. And then if you want some custom text to be shown instead of the carrier label, for example, if I just type in Android here, and then if we set this to as status bar, there you can see that custom text is shown in the status bar. Okay, moving on. Next we have got the clock settings. So using this master switch, you can enable or disable the clock entirely. You can tweak the position of the clock, left, center, or right, and then you can choose whether AM/PM should be shown next to the clock. So by default, it is hidden, I guess. But then if you set it to as normal or small, then the AM/PM style would be shown. Then if you want to show the seconds of the clock, there is that option. And if you want to show the date, there are the small and the normal font sizes for that. You can configure the position of the date, left of time or right of time, and then if you can configure how the date must be shown. This is the lowercase option, and then you have got the uppercase option, and then you can customize the font size of the clock and the date, and then in the end you can customize the color. And finally, you can also tweak the font style. So if you want it to be italics, you have that option. Next up we have got battery styles. So first up we have got the battery bar. You can choose where it must be shown. So the first option is at the top of the status bar, and since it's the white color, you can't really see it right now, but when I just open the battery bar location, there you can see the battery bar is there at the top of the status bar. Then if you want it to be shown at the bottom of the status bar, there's that option. If you want it to be shown in the quick settings header, there is an option for that. And if you want it to be shown at the top of the navigation bar, we have that option as well. Then you can configure the alignment of the battery bar. So the regular one is aligned to the left, the center mirrored one is symmetrical right across the center of the screen, and the reverse one aligns itself to the right side of the screen. Then you can configure the thickness of the battery bar, whether it should be 2, 3, or 4 dBs. And then if you want to have a charging animation, you can enable or disable that. If you want to use a gradient color for the battery bar, there is that option. And then you have got a bunch of settings for tweaking the color of the battery bar. Then we have got quick settings battery style. In fact, so let me see if we can enable it inside the icon. For some reason though, this is one of the bugs that I did spot in the ROM, is that the battery bar, the battery icon should show up in the right corner of the quick settings header. In fact, when I tap on the space there, you can see that it opens the battery settings, but for some reason the battery icon isn't shown. So that is a bug with the ROM, but you can still tweak what can be shown. Maybe if this bug is sorted out with a future update, if they manage to fix this, then you can change how the battery is shown in the quick settings header. Then we have options for how the status battery icon must look like. So we have got a couple of options here. The default is the portrait icon. You can also have the circle icon, dotted circle is there, filled circle is there, and then if you just want to hide the battery icon, there is an option for that. And you can also show the battery percentage, and that can be shown either inside the icon or beside it. Okay, then we have got some settings for battery management. So you can enable whether the battery saver should be triggered automatically, and then there is also a mode where you can enter where the device can enter doors more frequently and wake up lesser number of times. And then if you want to restrict the number of apps aggressively in the background, you can enable this option. Finally, we have got battery charge warning. So if you want if you want a ringtone to be played when the battery reaches a certain percentage level, then you can change that. Moving on, we have got customizations for the quick settings. So you can choose to have custom header image for the quick settings panel. So right now, if I select a single image, and then let's say I select this image, and the header image is now set, and now when I pull down the quick settings shade, you can see that the header image has been applied. So we have got plenty of options to choose from in here. So this is the Colt Header Styles 1 pack, and there you can see we have got a lot of options to choose from. My personal recommendation is the Nature pack. This is I've usually seen this one being present across all the ROMs, but there are other options that you can check out and customize. And in case you want to have your we also have some remote images, so you can check those out as well. And there are again numerous options to look at and check out. Okay, and then finally, if you want to select a local image, then you can also set a custom header image by selecting any image from the storage of your device. And then finally, you can configure the header image shadow and the height offset. Okay, and finally, if you select an image collection, then the ROM will automatically change the header image based on the time of the day. So it's night time right now, and the header image has been set accordingly. It would be a different image during the morning, then during the afternoon, evening, and so on. Then we have got quick pull down. So what this does is that if I set this to as swipe, then when I swipe from the right edge of the status bar, it will straight away take me to the quick settings panel. Usually you just have to, if you want to access the quick settings panel, you first have to do a swipe down to get to the notification shade, and then another swipe to get to the quick settings panel. So it just saves you swipe. So if you want to enable that, you can do that, either the right edge, left edge, or always. Then there is also smart pull down, which will configure quick pull down based on the kind of notifications that you have. So let's say if I select no dismissible, then it will straight away take me, it will always take me to the quick settings panel because I have a notification that can't be dismissed. So you can configure smart pull down as per the way you want. Then if you want to show the data usage in the quick settings header, then there is an option for that as well. And right now you can see that I have used 5.73 MB for the day. And then you can configure the font size of the clock in the quick settings header. Then you can also choose the font style. Finally, if you want to show some text at the footer at the bottom of the quick settings panel, then there is an option for that. And when you enable that, it shows there right in the bottom left corner. Okay, then we have got if you want to enable or disable the warnings for VPN, and then you can enable or disable a bunch of icons that should be enabled or that should be shown or that shouldn't be shown in the quick settings panel. Then we have got quick setting themes. So using this, you can configure the opacity of the quick settings panel. So right now I have set this to as 67, and let me pull it all the way to 0. And when I set it to as 0, the background of the notification panel is transparent. Right now you can't see the background entirely because we have applied, because we have blurred the background. There are settings for that. I will just be showing you the settings for that as well. They're right here. So anyway, in fact, if I disable this, then you would be able to see the entire background. Okay, so that's what this slider does. Then if you want external theming engines like Substratum to be able to theme the quick settings panel, then you can disable this option, and you can select how the quick setting panels must be themed. Now if I drag the quick settings panel, this is how it looks like. Right now we are using this custom color So let's say if I change this to as red, and now if I pull down the quick settings panel, then you can see that the background color of the panel has been changed. But you can, if you want to theme the quick settings panel as per the colors of the wallpaper, then you can just enable this option, and in that case it will override the background color and set that to as the wallpaper that we have. And here you can easily make out that since this is a dark wallpaper, the background color has been set to as black. But if you want the background color to be that, or what to be the accent color, then you can enable this option, and this will set the background color as blue, since that's what the accent color is right now. And finally, if you want to tint the quick setting toggles, then you can enable this option. In fact, I'll just go with the default colors right now so that I can show you this tint setting. So random color tint, this is how it looks like. It will randomly pick some colors and tint the toggles accordingly. And then if you want the toggles to be tinted as per the accent color, then this is how it looks like. And finally, we have got the disco mode. This was popularized by ColtOS, and since then it has made its way to other ROMs. Okay. Finally, if you we have got a couple of settings for the quick setting toggles. So if you want the if you want to have a MIUI style brightness slider, then you can enable that option, and this is how the brightness slider will looks like, and it will always be present, be it the quick settings header or the quick settings panel. Then if you want to have you can also disable the brightness slider in the quick settings panel, but make sure that for that you have the QoS footer brightness slider MIUI style option disabled. So otherwise the brightness slider will always show. So there's the option for that. Otherwise the brightness slider is always shown at the top, and if you want that to be shown at the bottom instead, then you can toggle that option. And then we have got vibrate on touch for the quick setting tiles if you want to show the running services icon, and this is what it looks like. So here you can just view all the different services that are using your RAM right now, RAM and the cache. Okay. Then we have got if you want to disable the quick setting tiles when the device is locked, there is an option for that. So right now you can see that I can access the quick settings panel, but now if I enable that option, then I won't be able to get to the quick settings panel. I can access the quick settings header, but not the entire panel. Okay. Then finally we have got settings for blurring the blurring the background behind the quick settings. So if you can customize the blur by tweaking the alpha and the intensity values. Okay, so those were the settings for the quick settings panel. Now we have got some customizations for the buttons. Okay, so first up we have got settings for the volume rocker. This is how the volume panel looks right now. If you may have seen how MIUI looks like, then you can obviously make out that this is a MIUI themed volume panel, but we have got different panel styles. So this is the compact layout, and we don't have you can I'll just show you the options again. So this is how it looks like right now, but if you the moment you just place your hand on the slider, you will be able to access the other options for ringer, alarm and notifications. And then we have got this Oreo style that will place the volume panel at the top as it was in the Oreo days. And then finally we have got the toggle switch for do not disturb. Okay, then we have got finally the tiled layout. So this is how that looks like. Okay, right, and then if you want to change the location of the volume panel to left hand side, you can enable that option, and now the panel will show up on the left, but that will happen after you do a system UI restart. You can't do that by default, so right up if you reboot the device, then the panel would be shown on the left edge of the screen. And then if you want to tweak the volume steps, so we have got the minimum option is 5 and the maximum is 60. So usually I recommend to stick to the default values for voice call and the ringer now, because especially during a voice call you don't want to have like 60 volume steps, otherwise you will just keep on you'll have to press the volume up key or down key during the voice call several times to be able to dial down or increase the volume of the person who is speaking. So you don't want to do that a lot of times during the call so that you can hear the other person properly. So I usually stick to around 15 volumes for the voice call, and I usually have 7 for the ringer, but for media I always 6 to 60, and for the alarm I always stick to 60 as well. But if you want to change the number of volume levels for notification and ringer, you can do that. Okay, Next up, we have got playback control. So if you want to skip the music tracks using by long pressing the volume keys when the device is off, then you can enable that option. And then if you want the volume keys to wake up the device, then there is an option for that. And then we have got volume key cursor control. So what this will do is, in fact, I'll show you right now. So usually I prefer to have the second option enabled. Volume up moves the cursor towards the right. So now when I just open up the search bar, and let's say I just type in Andrew Guider, and now when I press the volume down key, you can see that the cursor is moving to the left, and if I press the volume up key, the cursor moves to the right. Okay, and then finally you can configure what volume levels must the volume panel have. So when you enable all the options, this is how it looks like. But just do keep in mind that voice and Bluetooth options would only be shown when you are connected, or when you are on a voice call, and when you have a Bluetooth speaker or headsets connected. Okay, then we have got settings for enabling or disabling the hardware key. Again, this is dependent on the device that you have. The OnePlus One does have hardware keys, so it can make use of this option. You can swap the back and the recent key. You can tweak the amount of backlight. Then the backlight timeout can also be configured. Then you have the option for enabling the backlight only when the buttons are touched. Prevention for accidental touches when the navigation buttons are there. There's an option for that as well. And then we have got some shortcuts for single tap, long press, and double tap actions. So obviously, if you are using the on-screen navigation bar, it's not recommended that you change the single tap actions. But if you want to configure the long press and the double tap actions, then you can do that. So these are the options that we have for custom actions. You can utilize any of these options. One thing that I'm not happy about is that previously you were able to use you were able to select the one-handed mode either on the left side or the right side by double tapping or long pressing the navigation buttons. So I remember that in Android Pie-based ROMs, I used to set the double tap of the back key to trigger the one-handed mode on the left edge of the screen, and double tap of the recent key to trigger the one-handed mode on the right side. But we no longer have the options for that. So I'm a bit bummed about that, but that's not a big of a deal. And finally, if we have the settings for using the home button when ringing, so you can allow to use the home button when ringing, so you can enable or disable that as you want. But just keep in mind that these settings for customizing the actions, the single tap, double tap, and long press actions, these are only applicable for the hardware buttons and not the navigation bar buttons. But if you want to have the navigation bar settings, then here they are. So you can enable or disable the navigation bar using this master switch. And then if you want to have that pixel style home animation, you can enable that. And let me just go to settings again. And yeah, then we have got, if you want to show the arrow keys while typing, so right now we have the arrow keys, so it's just makes it easy to place the cursor where you want it to be. So you can enable that option, and then if you want to swap the recent key and the back key, there is an option for that. Finally, we have got some layout styles. This is the normal layout, this is the compact layout, this is the left leaning layout, and this is the right leaning layout. So I'll set that to as normal, and then we have got customizations for the power menu. This is how the power menu looks like right now. But if you want to have a custom filter when the power menu is active, then you can enable that. So now when I bring up the power menu, it has blurred the background. But you can also look at other filter styles. For example, we have the grayscale background, then we have the accent tinted background as well, and we have got grayscale and blurred. And finally we have got accent tinted and blurred. So you can choose, there are a ton of options to choose from, and you can also configure the opacity and the dim background amount. Finally, we can configure what options must be shown in the power menu. When I have enabled all the options, this is how it looks like. Apparently the flashlight icon hasn't been themed as per the accent color, so that's a small bug, but that is there. And then you can configure whether you want the power menu to be shown on the lock screen, and if you choose to disable that option, if you choose to enable that option rather, then you can choose what all options should be shown on the lock screen. Then if you are a fan of gestures, then we have got the two button navigation, and the gesture based navigation is also there. So that will just place a pill shaped icon right at the bottom of the screen, and then you can navigate around the system UI by using the swipe gestures. Personally, I'm a fan of the 3-button navigation instead, so that's what I prefer to stick to instead. But if you want to use the gestures instead, then you have that option, and you can also configure the sensitivity of the gestures, and there are a lot of options for that. Okay, so I'll just go back to the 3-button navigation, and let's click on back. Okay, and now our buttons are black again. Then we have got the double tap to launch the camera gesture, and if you then want to use the power and volume up key to vibrate or mute the device, then you can also use that option, or you can just cycle through all the modes. So that option is there, and then if you want to there is adaptive playback. So what this does is it will automatically pause the media playback after a certain amount of time, and you can change that time limit here. Then we have got options for using long press the power button when the device is off to launch the flashlight, and then we have got the 3-finger gesture to take a screenshot, and we do have long screenshots, by the way, so you can use that option, and you can also edit these screenshots. And I think we are using the stock gallery application for that, so you can draw anything, or if you want to crop the screenshot, you can do that. And we also blurring the background for the pop-up screenshot. Full screen screenshots, then you can do that. So right now it has taken a full screen screenshot, but if you want to trigger the partial screenshots, I think that option would be there in the quick settings panel. In fact, I'll just show you the different quick setting tiles that we have. So these are the quick setting tiles that are enabled by default, and these are the ones that you can add on. Okay, so we have the screenshot quick setting tiles here, and we also have the FPS info quick setting tile. So I think I would like to show you those two first. We'll get to the gaming mode. Compass is also there, and we'll get to the other ones later. Let's try out those two. So if I tap on the screenshot quick setting toggle, you can see that it toggles between full screen screenshots and partial screenshots. Now when I long press on partial scrscreenshot, then I can just let's say if I just want to take a screenshot of only this particular part of the image, then I can select that, and then I can, if I'm satisfied with it, I can just tap on the tick button and will take the screenshot. Okay. Then if you want to automatically turn off the torch, you can set a timeout limit for that, and then you can wake up the display when when your device is connected to a charger, and then we have got double tap gestures to turn off the device for the status bar and the lock screen. Okay, so that's all what we have under the gestures option, and I want to show you the FPS info option, but when I click on it, you will see that I can't see the FPS meter anywhere, so that option isn't working for me. So that's another issue. Probably it will work on some other devices. I'm guessing that since the OnePlus has some it's a really old device, and probably if I think for the FPS of the device to be shown, that setting has to be compatible with the kernel, and I guess that this device is running Linux 3.10.108. So I guess maybe it's related to the kernel version or the vendor files for the OnePlus One, but I reckon that this setting will work on newer devices. Okay, then we have got settings for the lock screen. So you can configure if you want to show the wallpaper on or if you want to show the weather on the lock screen, then you can enable this option. If I go to the lock screen now, you can see that the weather isn't shown, it's just a blank icon. So we will first have to configure the weather settings, and to do that you have to give the location access to the weather app, and we'll go back now. So Now you can just tap on enable, and we can configure the update interval from 1 hours to 12 hours. I'll set this to as 6 hours, and then you can configure the weather provider. We have got Open Weather Map or MET Norway. My recommendation here would be to enable a custom location. If you are using Google services, then of course the weather service would be able to detect the location and display the weather accordingly. So let's say type in Delhi here, and we click on OK, and there we have, if I select Delhi, and now if I turn off the screen, we still don't have the weather. So let me just tap on enable again, and now if I go back, we should now get the weather. So there we have it. It's 30 degrees Celsius right now, and you can configure the icon pack. So we have got a bunch of options to choose from. So if we select lock clock color, this is how the icons look like. So you can play around with the different settings, but we have got a number of options to choose from. If you want the city name to be shown, then you can enable that option. And finally we have got the weather style. The first option is Omni style, and the other one is pixel style. Okay, next up we have got lock screen shortcuts. So you can change the lock screen the left and the right shortcuts. So you can launch a bunch, if you want to have a particular contact in the bottom shortcuts, then you can add that, or if you want to launch a specific app, then you can do that. So those are the two options that we have. Or if you want to hide the shortcuts entirely, there is an option for that. Ambient display is there, and it works quite well. So if you want, you can configure what should be shown on the ambient display. So of course your notifications would be shown, but if you want the battery level to be shown, then you can enable that, and then you can configure when should the ambient display be triggered. So if you want it to be triggered while charging, or when you receive new notifications, music ticker, there are the options for that. And we do have some gesture settings as well for the ambient display. So you can double tap your phone to check the time, notification icons, and other info, and then you can also trigger ambient display when you pick up your phone, or you do a hand wave, and that's when your proximity sensor picks up that there has been a hand wave, or when you take out the phone out of your pocket. Again, that's the proximity sensor. Okay, so let me just give it a shot again, and there you can see that we have the ambient display working. Okay, moving on. Next we have got and then finally you can configure the brightness level of the ambient display. Next we have got settings for lock screen charging info, or if you want to show the battery bar in the always on display, and then if you want to always show the battery bar on charging, and we have already seen the customizations for the battery bar color, but these are present here again. So you can change the battery bar color and the charging animation. So we've got a bunch of options for that, including COVID-19, or wash your hands and wear a mask, all that stuff. And then we have got options for enabling or disabling the media cover art. You can change the album art filter, so if you want to blur the background, and we have already seen how these different backgrounds, how these filters work with the power menu customizations. So these will work similarly. And then if you want to show the music visualizers on the lock screen, you can enable this option. Then we have got some customizations for the music visualizer. You can enable or disable the lava lamp. If you have the automatic color enabled, then the music visualizer will automatically pick a color from the album art and show that and use that for the pulse or visualizers, whatever you want to call that as. Then if you want to configure the lines count, the sanity level, and the lines opacity, there are all those options. Alright, next we have got lock screen visualizer on the ambient display, and this will obviously be shown in the white color, so you can enable that if you want. Then you have got status bar settings for the lock screen. If you want to enable or disable the status bar, you can do that. Or if you want to hide the lock icon in the bottom center of the lock screen, you can enable or disable that. You can set the maximum number of notifications on the lock screen. The minimum value is 1 and the maximum is 6. We also have pocket detection, forced fingerprint authentication, so that way after you have rebooted the device, you can straight away unlock it with the fingerprint sensor. And then if you want to have a vibration after the fingerprint has been authorized, then you can enable that. Finally, we have got some UI settings. So from here you can change the how the clock font style must look like. So this is how the clock looks like right now, and let's try some options. So this is the bold option, and then we have got let's try out accent R's. This is how it looks like. And then we have got Sammy style, let's try out semi bold, and then we have got semi accent, and finally we have got semi accent darker R. So that's how it looks like. Alright, so those were our settings for the block style. Similarly, we have got several date styles to choose from, so a bunch of options for that as well. Let's quickly take a look at some of them. So that's how the semi-transparent box looks like, and then you can round that box. This is the cube beat up pill icon, so it encircles the date in a pill shape. So just enter that again, and then we have got rounded, simple, and with accent. So let's just take a look at this one. So that's how it looks like, and then we have got a gradient style. Finally, let's take a look at dark with accented borders. So there's that. Okay, then you can change the font size for the clock and date, and the owner info, and there are a bunch of font options to choose from. Okay, moving on. Then we have got settings for notifications. So you can enable or disable the charging LED if you want, and you can enter a custom hex color here. Actually, when you are changing the LED color, and the OnePlus, only a few phones have the charging LED nowadays. OnePlus One is one of them. So when you are changing the hex color code, it actually lights up the LED, so you can see the color that you are choosing in real time. So that's a really good thing that I have that I'm seeing for the first time in any ROM. Then you can change the colors for low battery, medium battery, almost full, and full battery. Battery light in DND, you can enable or disable that, and then if you want to blink the LED when the battery level is low, you can enable that. Notification LED, so you can configure that, so whether or not we want to enable the notification LED for that, so you can enable or disable that. But it would have been great if we could have set the notification LED color on a per app basis, but that's not something that is there. Then we have got customizations for heads up notifications, so you can enable or disable heads up notifications entirely. You can show a media heads up when a new track is playing, and then you can set the timeout or configure for how long the heads up notifications are snoozed when you swipe up on them. And then you can customize the heads up notifications on a per app basis. Okay. Then we have got make heads up less annoying, so this will show the heads up notifications only when you are getting a call or you receive a new text. Then we have got ambient light, so this will light up the edges of the screen whenever a new notification is there. So we have this option, and you can choose any random color, or you can configure the edge lighting color as per your choice. This is good on curved displays, but the OnePlus One has a flat screen, so it's not much useful here. But if you have got any in your phone, then this absolutely makes sense to enable. Okay, and then you can configure the duration of the lights and the edge light repeat count. Okay. Then if you want to force close notifications when if you want to enable or disable force close notifications when an app crashes, you can do that. We have got notification headers from Android 11, so that would require a system UI restart. Then if you want to align the notification headers on the center of the screen, you can do that. Force expanded notifications is there, and then if you want the ringtone audio to be so when you're receiving call, you can configure where should the ringtone be played from. Should it be only the headset or the speaker, or both of them? And then we have got noisy notifications if the screen is on, so this will decrease the frequency of the notifications. Then you can hide smart replies, and then there is iOS like close notifications for the boot access, so we can try that out, I guess. So let's say we copy any text, and then we click on copy. And then you have got this toast notification that an application tried to access the clipboard. So there's that. This is what this option does. And then we have got a bunch of in-call vibration settings. Animations. So you can configure how the screen of animation should look like. So this is the color fade animation right now. And oops, let's close it out. And this is the CRT animation. Then we have got the scale animation. Next up we have got the simple fade animation. so a lot of options to choose from. And similarly, we have got options for launching the power menu. This is the default animation for the power menu. We also have a bottom animation for the power menu. Then we have got it can also scroll from the top, or if you wanted to slide it, there is that option. So a lot of options to choose from in here. So you can configure these as per your liking, and then you can configure the system duration. The default value is 0, I guess, and it goes all the way up to 400. So you can configure that as per your convenience. And so that was slightly slower, and if I set it, let's say to 130, then it's slightly quicker. Okay, so you can configure the animation duration as per your choice. Then if you want to disable the transition animations, there's an option for that, and you can customize the animations for when how a task opens, or how an activity launches, or when an app moves to the back and another one moves to the front, how does the wallpaper option, how it closes, and all that. Scrolling cache is there. I recommend this. I usually set this to as force enable, so you can enable do that. And we also have animations for how the toast notifications should show up. So this is how slide left to right shows us. I don't think that was the right way. Let's try show right to left. Okay, so probably if we can increase the duration, then it just might work. So let's try slide left to right. So it's not working correctly. It's just showing up there and then it's fading away. So this is probably a bug in the ROM. Usually when it's when you enable slide right to left, then it pops up from the right edge and goes out on the left edge. So it isn't working that way. And then we have got list view animations. A lot of options to choose from in here, and that too also doesn't appear to work. So maybe if we do a system UI restart, or you reboot the device, then these settings will start working. So actually I'll just reboot my phone right now and see if that starts working. But actually you can see that the list view animation does work. In fact, if I open up any list, you can see that the list view animation is working, but for some reason the toast animation isn't working. Anyway, let's move on. Then we have got list view interpolator. A bunch of options are there for that. Then we have got the animation styles. So this will show. Actually, the animations are just too quick right now, so I'll set this to as default. In fact, oh my god, so it was me. I made that mistake of disabling the transition animations entirely. So I guess that's why the toast animation wasn't working properly in the first place. So that was my fault. My apologies. Anyway, let's move on. So the toast animations work fine, and then we have got animation styles. So we've got flip and rotate animations. So right now, if I, let's say, turn off the Wi-Fi, then this is the animation for that. Now if I just want to enable the flip animation, so there you can see the flip animation there. And finally we have got the rotate animation. So that's how the rotate animation works. Okay, then you can configure the animation duration, low, fast, quite fast, super fast, and the animation interpolator is there as well. Okay, moving on. Then we have got cold decorations. So these are some more customizations for how the lock screen clock and wallpapers can look like. So if we click on that, it will ask you for probably the storage permission first. But anyway, moving on. So this is how the default clock looks like. We have got divided lines, ColtOS clock, so this will put an analog clock in there, and then you also have a space analog clock. Okay, and you can configure the wallpaper too. So you can either choose wallpapers from your gallery, or if you have a wallpapers app, you can choose it from there. And we only have one on-device wallpaper, that is the default ColtOS wallpaper, so you can choose that. Once you are satisfied with your setup, you can just hit the apply button and it will apply the desired setup. So that's there, and then you can customize how should the icons be configured. So we have got a number of themes to choose from. So let's say we apply ColtOS dark. So this is how the dark theme looks like. We have lost. Okay, so the status bar is showing up right now. Then we have got solarized dark. So that changes the background color slightly. Then we have got baked green. This is choco gold, dark gray, pitch black, material ocean, so transparent gold. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to make the background transparent, I guess. In fact, let's open up a couple of apps and see if that works. No, the background is not. It's definitely not transparent right now. So okay, so now you can see that in fact the settings is actually transparent, but for some reason the navigation buttons aren't working right now. So I wonder if we have to do like a system UI restart something to get them working again, or maybe perhaps a reboot of the device will get them to work. Anyway, let's move on to the other settings that we were checking out. So that is transparent code, and finally we have called code Mizu, if I'm pronouncing that right. So that reduces the transparency, and you can actually see the accent color. And I'll also slide down the quick settings shade and see how that looks like. So it's actually not allowing me to hold down the quick settings panel right now. So in fact the system UI isn't responding, so we'll just close it and force the system UI restart. Okay, now the navigation bar buttons are working fine, and they are also able to access the quick settings panel. So that's great. And then you can tweak the accent color. Actually, I'll just go back to the light theme, and then we can take a look at there are a number of options to choose from. There's cinnamon, green, AOSP ocean, and we have got a lot of options to choose from. So let's change this to maybe Xiaomi orange. So there you have the orange accent color now. Or if you want to have a custom hex color code, then you can enter that here. Let's say we set this to as green, and now the accent color changes to green. So we have got a bunch of options. There are a bunch of customizations that you can check out, and then we have got how the shape of the icons must be. So this is the bevel shape. Let's see if we can. This is the bevel shape. Now you can see the quick setting. The active quick setting toggles are in a bevel shape right now. Okay, let's quickly take a look at others as well. This is the square icon. So that's how it looks like, and this is how the vessel icon looks like. Again, I'll just scroll down, and that's how it looks. Rounded hexagon, teardrop, tapered, rect. So there are a bunch of other options that you can check out. I'll just show you the cylinder options to wrap things up with. So there's that. So there are a bunch of options that you can customize, and then you can change how the status bar icons must be. So you can see how the icons look like right now. If I select, if I change the option to rounded, you can see that perhaps the icons are slightly rounded, but I can't make out there aren't any visible changes as such. If I change that to fill instead, that's how it looks like, and if I change that to circular, that's how it looks like. So that's the apparent change. Maybe when you have a SIM card inserted, or if you have the battery icon enabled, then the changes will be more prominent. Okay, then you can choose how the headline and body font, what the headline and the body font must be. So again, there are a bunch of options for that. So let's say we try Sony Sketch, and that's how it looks like. I'll just revert back to the default font. But anyway, you get the point that we have got a bunch of customizations, and we do have, if you want to add a border to the quick settings panel, we have that option as well. So it adds a border to the bottom of the quick settings panel. So that looks pretty. And then you can configure how the switches must look like. So this is the default layout. So there you can see how the switch has changed, and this is the 1+ layout. This is the narrow layout. And finally we have the contained layout. So these are more like iOS style switches, and then you can customize how the settings icons must look like. So a lot of options for that. Okay, so that's a lot of options in Colt decorations. Then we've got screen customizations. So if you want to change the corner radius or the content padding, now this is for those of you guys who have devices with notches, so you can make use of these settings. and then we have got miscellaneous settings. So how do you want the recent styles to be? These are the default recents that have been there since Android 9. But if you want to enable Omni Switch recents, then we have that option too. So I'll quickly go back, and this is how the Omni Switch recents look like. In fact, when you are going to the gaming mode, this is one of the options that you will have if you want to have Omni Switch style recents. And in my opinion, I think that Omni style recents are more suitable for the gaming mode, and actually that's the next option. So if you want to customize the preferences for the gaming mode, then you can choose whether you want to block all the notifications, disable the hardware keys, disable automatic brightness, ringer in gaming mode. You can set that to as do not disturb. Gaming mode indication, so you can show toasts and notification for that. And then if you want to dynamically add games to the gaming mode, there is an option for that. Then we have got sensor blockage per packet, so you can restrict to the access to certain sensors for certain apps. This is a useful feature if you are looking to save up on some battery. Then we have got a feature for charging animation. So a charging animation would be displayed when the device is plugged in. In fact, I will show that to you right now. So that's how the charging animation looks like, and now you can also see that the battery bar is filling on the top of the navigation bar. Okay, then we have got suspend actions. So if you want to set up some screen off actions, then you can do that. What this will do is you can switch to 2G to save up on some battery use, disable mobile data, disable GPS, and you can also set the screen off actions delay and when to revert those actions. So you can set the screen on delay as well. Then we have got a wake lock blocker. We have also got an alarms blocker, and in the end we have got some settings which are specific for OnePlus devices. So those of you who have a OnePlus slider, the OnePlus one didn't have the alert slider, so these settings won't work for it. We also have some direct settings, but again this isn't something that is compatible with the OnePlus one. Then we have got gestures. These do work with the OnePlus one, so you can configure what each gesture must do. So if you are swiping if you're drawing a downward arrow, then what should it do? So you can configure all that. Circle, what should a double swipe down do? So these are the options that you can choose from. Again, or if you even want to launch a custom app, then you can select that. In fact, you can also launch shortcuts, but if you want to select a certain application, then you will have to choose that. Okay, so again, a lot of customizations to choose from, and you can also select a kernel profile, balance, gaming, and battery. And we also have some vibrator settings for eligible devices. Then we have got display calibration. KCL is present here, or in fact, if you have most of the kernels nowadays, at least most of the stock kernels as well, they come with support for KCL. So even if you are using another ROM, then you can use apps like Kernel Auditor or Franco Kernel Control to tweak these settings. Panel modes. So there is sRGB mode, wide color gamut mode, or OnePlus mode. Again, it's really dependent on your device whether this feature would be supported or not. DC dimmer mode is there. This is for AMOLED panels. The OnePlus one has LCD panel. There's high brightness mode, automatic high brightness, and then you can also customize the automatic high brightness mode threshold with the lux value basically. Okay, so that's all that we have in under miscellaneous settings, and finally, you can view the team behind ColtOS, who have the guys who have worked on bringing this ROM to you. You also have links to their Telegram channel, their GitHub, and you can check out the profiles of the people behind the ROM. Okay, so those were the settings under Colt Enigma. So let's try and wrap up this review as fast as we can, because I think it's already been a while. So right now you can see the charging animation is there, and then you also have an indicator which shows you whether all the apps are running back, if all the apps are running fine in the background, and then you can set a schedule based on percentage, or you can also turn off when the device is fully charged and at 90%. Adaptive battery is there, so it will detect when certain apps are draining battery, and it will decrease the frequency of those apps. Okay, and then we also have smart charging, so you can decide when should the device stop charging, and when what should be the start, what should be the trigger level for starting the battery charging. And then if you want, you can also reset the battery statistics after reaching the user defined charging level. So again, these are some settings that you can use for extending the battery life. The battery temperature is shown at the top. If you want to reset the battery stats, you can just hit the pin icon. Right, then we have got the display settings. We have a wonderful animation to kick things off. Then we have got night light is there, it works fine. Adaptive brightness, we have got screen timeout. The minimum value is 15 seconds and the maximum is 30 minutes. We also have lock screen timeout this time, so it's 15 seconds and the maximum is 30 minutes. Screen attention, so if you want the screen to remain switched on when you are looking at it, then this is a really cool feature to have. So all you have to do is just give this access to the camera permission. And I think you do need Google Apps for that. So right now I'm using the ROM without any Google Apps, so that's why this feature isn't, I can't enable this feature, but you would be able to enable this feature if you use the G apps. Okay, then you have got settings for auto rotate, and we have got 180 degrees and 270 degrees here. You can configure the font size, the display size. Then we have got the double tap to wake, and if you want to show the dashboard conditions and the suggestions in the settings panel. Okay, so these are the dashboard conditions, and the setting suggestions are the descriptions of the menu items in the settings. Then we have got sound customizations, so you can customize the volume level for for different sounds, and we can also enable or disable touch vibrations and vibration for calls, and these are some different vibration patterns that you can check out. Actually, this is a quite cool feature which I can't show you in this video. But you can definitely take a look at this. This is one of my favorite feature in Android 10 ROMs. Then you have got a shortcut to prevent ringing. So you can, we have already seen the gesture for pressing the power and the volume up key. Then you can configure how the ringtones must look like. And we have got a standard ringtone picker here, nothing fancy like pixel sounds, which is there in some ROMs. Then you can enable or disable the dial pad tones, screen locking sounds, charging vibration, touch sounds, screenshot sounds, and notification vibration. Okay, then moving on to storage settings, nothing too fancy here. So let's move on. Then privacy settings, so you do get the permission manager that is there in stock Android as well, so you can see which apps have access to certain sensors, and then if you want to disable access to those to specific permissions, you can do that, and you can also enable or disable the permissions for each app. Okay, then if you want to display the characters briefly as you type your passwords, you can enable or disable this option, and you can tweak how the notification content must show up on the lock screen. Security settings, so we do have a pattern lock, by the way, and you can configure, we do have the grid size for the pattern lock, and the other option is swipe, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we do also have an app lock, so let's say I'll just set a pin, so let's say 1234 1234. Confirm it, and let's say okay, and then you can configure whether you want to lock a certain app or not. So let's say if I lock calculator for now, and now when I try to access it, it will first ask me to enter the pin, and then I can access it. Okay, so that's one feature that we have, and then we have got device admin apps, encryption settings, and screen pinning. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We'll just check out the developer options. So you can view the running services, and USB debug settings are there. Then we have the settings for Wi-Fi scan throttling, and if you want to always keep the mobile data active. Then you have got settings for your Bluetooth codecs. Then we have got settings for tweaking the animation duration. And you can also change the GPU renderer. So for some devices which support Vulkan, you can enable that here. And yeah, then you can limit the processes in the background. I don't recommend tinkering with that setting. Desktop mode is here, so if your device supports that, if you want to use desktop mode on your PC, then you can enable that option. But I think you have to support video out for that, but I don't reckon OnePlus One has support for that. Yeah, so those were pretty much all the options in the settings. So the ROM comes with I think about 13 apps. AZ Screen Recorder isn't there, and the MIX Explorer isn't there. These are the rest of the apps that you get. The gallery does have a couple of nifty features. So you do have a basic, we don't have a fancy image editor. It just comes with the basic tools for cropping the image, and you can flip it or rotate it and shrink it. So you can decrease the size of the image, and yeah, that's about it. So nothing too fancy here, and the same goes for video editors. In fact we don't have a video editor, but just the simple ROM settings. So if I even go ahead and play a video for you, we don't have any settings, but and it seems like the gestures aren't supported as well. We do have gestures for changing the seeking the timeline, so you can swipe left and right and go to different portions of the video. And we do have slide gestures, but they only change the volume and not the brightness. So there's that. But it's good to have all these options. And yeah, so this is, I think this is actually, if I'm not wrong, this is a mod of quick pick, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just quickly check this out. Yeah, so this is a mod of quick pick, so you can see that. But yeah, so that's what is included in the ROM. So we have got some other settings that you can also check out. You can protect your media files, change the theme of the app, change the background image, albums. You can customize the image settings, set up slideshows, backup. I think this does support backing up to Google Drive, although I'm not sure if that works properly. Then we do have Phonograph. That's the inbuilt music application. So this will only work if you still use, if you still have some songs stored locally and you want to play them, then you can use this app. Otherwise, we have OmniSwitch. We have already taken a look at how that works. So we have got a number of customizations that you can configure for that, like the background style, opacity, background, and all that stuff, location, colors, everything else. Okay. Finally, we have got Wallpapers. This is another app. This is the wallpaper app of ColtOS. It looks quite similar to how Backdrops looks like. But again, it's a way to have some wallpapers that are based off the ROM. So let's see if we can set this one. So let's apply this. Tap on allow, and then you can set as home screen and lock screen. So, okay, and now you can see that the wallpaper has changed. So we have got a number of other wallpapers in ColtOS papers. And finally, let's take a look at the default launcher that we have. This is the Enigma launcher. It's based on the AOSP launcher for Android 10. And let's check out the different settings that we have. I'm not sure if we can. Okay, so now we have the settings, so you can change the icon packs. And we also have some settings for the home screen. You can show the at-a-glance widget, the search bar, the Google app, and then we also have some settings for the app drawer. You can show app predictions, save the scroll position, and you can also customize the number of columns and rows, the grid size, and yeah, just threw me out of the settings. Anyway, then we have got the miscellaneous settings. So if you want to enable the rotation for home screen, double tap to sleep is there, and then clear all the rotations on swipe down from the recent view. There is an option for that. Okay, yeah, so I think that's about it. As far as the dialog goes, then let's see if we have I've already call recording is supported, by the way, and we do have the smart mute feature where you can just flip your phone when a call is incoming, and it will silence that automatically. It won't cut the call, it will just silence your phone. That's about it. And vibrate for calls is also there. You can also change the quick responses, and if you want to disable the use of proximity sensors, you can do that. And yeah, you can block calls and pretty much do all that good stuff. Okay, and finally, this is how the messaging apps looks like. We don't have any search option or anything as such. It's just what comes in AOSP. Okay, and finally, the camera application. We have got the Snapdragon camera. You have got access to the basic image customizations like changing the ISO, exposure, white balance, shutter speed, and all that stuff. And we also do get the HDR mode. And yeah, I think that's all that we need to know about the ROM. So that's ColtOS for you guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button and smash that subscribe button if you found this video helpful. I know this kind of turned into a rambling, but that's how I like the custom ROM reviews to be. I just want my reviews to be thorough and show you each and every nook and corner of the ROM. So I hope I was able to do that with this extensive review. So let me know if you have any queries about the ROM, or feel free to hit the